Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another special episode of, well, this isn't Blast from the Past reviews, because Megan was having some technical difficulties tonight, so we're just going to talk about some current events going on in the world today. There's a lot of pop culture news items that came out, which really means I just flipped through the recent articles on Bounding into Comics to see what was interesting to talk about. Before we hop into it, let's say hi to everybody out there. You're Bommy. Yeah, pew pew. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Alec Baldwin with his pew pew problems. There, he's what they say about him though. He's a real straight shooter. He always keeps it complete. They're completely real, shooting straight with the truth. Never dodging anything. Always comes at you full force like a hail of bullets. Phil, how's it going? Good to see you, Phil. Sorry, we're really, setting back on. I know you wanted to see the TMNT review, but technical difficulties made it a little bit hard. So we're gonna push that back a week or so. We'll see. I do want to get to doing some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 live action film reviews, but it'll happen when it happens. Let's see. We got a Robert Lowry. Thank you for joining us, Robert. Glad to see you've been posting your picks from the Orlando meetup. Got some really good ones in there, so definitely go check out Robert Lowry's Twitters to see some really good pics he took. I mean, this dude has a legit professional. He's a professional photographer, so he actually has a really nice camera he was taking pictures with, and they turned out really good. So go check those out. In case you missed the Orlando meetup, it's kind of a way to live vicariously through Robert. Let's see. We got a Small Time Republic. Yes, I have the Bob Ross meme template, the nice Bob Ross meme template. This was a gift from a buddy of mine. I am a fan of Bob Ross, though. The man was absolutely amazing. I mean, if anybody out there was a fan of 420, a partaker as it were, Bob Ross is a great way to go. If you're ever stoned off your gourd, just pop on any of his painting shows, and you're gonna have a good time. If you're ever feeling like you smoked a little too much and you're getting that paranoia and that anxiety, pop on Bob Ross, breathe deep, and let his smooth, silky voice flow over you. It's a wonderful experience. And yes, Phil threw up there's Megan's link to her YouTube channel. Definitely go check that out and give her a sub. Couldn't make it today, but definitely still support her. Yes, he's a real straight shooter and a gay blade. Yeah, that's old Alec Baldwin for you. Let's see who else we got in here. It looks like I've caught up with everybody. So yeah, let's hop right into these articles here. Pull this up. Oh, there we go. Unfortunately, you got my big dumb head kind of covering some of the text there. That's better. Alec Baldwin to face no consequences for the killing of Rust cinematographer as prosecutors drop involuntary manslaughter charges. I wonder why that happened. It's not like there isn't an elite class out there that is able to just shirk the normal rules of society. It isn't like a normal person in this situation wouldn't, just go to prison for 5 years like the maximum fine is for the maximum charges for this sort of thing. That wouldn't, there's no way that we have a multi-tiered system of justice in which some people are let go and others are not. So let's see. Oh God, your Bommy saying small time is big time where it counts. Yes. You know what? That's a good song, Big Time by Peter Gabriel. But that's just some of my ADD showing there. You should definitely listen to Big Time by Peter Gabriel after the stream. Either way, you should listen to it. It's a good song. Back to Alec Baldwin shooting people. I guess you can't say he didn't murder anyone. It wasn't manslaughter. You can't say that anymore either. But he definitely shot somebody. In a fairly disappointing yet expected turn of events, prosecutors are expected to drop the manslaughter charges filed against Alec Baldwin relating to the shooting accident which killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins and injured director Joel Souza on the set of Rust. We are pleased with the decision to and can I just say that, of course it's somebody who doesn't advocate for firearm ownership, so obviously he doesn't know anything about how to safely handle firearms. So are we surprised at all that this happened? someone who actually is encouraging of owning firearms and uses them safely and responsibly. You wouldn't expect this from them. They would just be like, oh, well, maybe you should like double check the weapon before I point it at people, even though this is supposed to be a prop gun. I could be wrong, but I do believe in movies they actually have prop guns that are for pointing at the camera. Like, you don't always just use a real firearm for that, but sometimes they do, I guess. Okay, what I believe it is that it isn't actually a prop firearm, but they will make it to where it won't fire. If it's a semi-automatic, they'll remove the firing pin or flip it around or something. If it's a revolver, I guess you just sort of fill it with dummy rounds, which maybe that's what he expected, but anyone who's seen a dummy round knows that you can immediately tell because there's a freaking hole drilled in the back of it, like at where the primer is in the back of the freaking bullet. There's a hole drilled through it, so you know that it can't fire. So he should have been able to just flip open the window, turn the cylinder, and seen that there was, dummy rounds in there. But no, that didn't happen. We are pleased with the decision to dismiss the case against Alec Baldwin, and we encourage a proper investigation into the facts and circumstances of this tragic accident, read a statement issued by Baldwin's lawyers Luke Nikas and Alex Shapiro on April 20th. Baldwin and Rust armor Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who, I think she should be implicated. She definitely should have been implicated as well. I don't think they've said anything about her having the charges dropped. I think she's guilty as well, but the one who they say he didn't pull the trigger, he didn't pull the trigger, but that's not how firearms work. I'm sorry, you can't half-cock fire a weapon, and that's kind of what he described as he was like slowly pulling back on the hammer, and it just sort of released, and it's like, that's not how they work. But nonetheless, unless it was a firearm that was like seriously, just improperly used, and it was in horrible shape and probably should not have been on a set anyway. But I digress. Let's see. Jason Bowles and Todd Bullion, the lawyers representing Gutierrez Reed, also issued a statement following the Nikas and Shapiro announcement. The new special prosecutor team has taken a very diligent and thorough approach to the entire investigation, which we welcome and have always welcomed. Sure. They are seeking the truth, and we are also. The truth about what happened will come out, and the questions that we have long sought answers for will be answered. We fully expect at the end of this process that Hannah will also be exonerated. Nah, she's the fall guy. I'm sorry. I hate to break it. Look at this right there. Oh, he knows how to properly handle a firearm. He's got his finger on the trigger. That's one of the 4 basic rules. That's one of the basic rules, is you don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to fire. And there he is, just fingers on triggers. That's what they say about Alec Baldwin. He's known to blow up at people. He's known to be a bit of a prima donna. They say he's got a hair trigger. God, let's address the chat here real quick. Had a couple of things. Oh yeah, Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer's a great one too. Peter Gabriel in general is just an excellent artist. Everyone should give him a listen to, at least try it out. He'd Hillary someone. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, I don't know how this journalist who happened to have some information on the Clintons just happened to Epstein himself with with a rifle, 2 shots to the back of the head. How it happened, I don't know. Yeah, he managed to, he really managed to Cobain himself. He's got 2 5.56s in the base of his skull. Even if I know to pretend that a prop gun is loaded until checked, and I'm not even in Hollywood. Yeah, I think it depends on the armor. I think it's a bit of both. I think the armor is also to blame, but ultimately whoever is holding the firearm and pulls the trigger is also at fault. That is the ultimate fault that gets put there. It's the basic rules of firearm safety are treat every gun as if it is loaded. Know what condition your firearm is in, which means, is it loaded, is it unloaded, is it functioning properly, does it have any sort of malfunction that's occurring with it, in which case it shouldn't be used. Do not point the firearm at anything you do not wish to destroy. That counts for anything, inanimate or animate objects. And what's the last one? Oh man, fuzzy brain moment. Oh no. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. That's, if you do those 4 basic things, you're not going to hurt anybody. He didn't follow those rules. I don't care if the director was telling him to do it. That's not a good reason. Both the actor and the armor's charges, which in accordance to the New Mexico Criminal Sentencing Statute 31-18-16, could have seen them facing up to 5 years in prison for discharging a firearm in the commission of a non-capital felony, were downgraded not long after. Yeah, big surprise there. This development came just a few days after Baldwin's lawyer filed a motion to dismiss Special Prosecutor Andrea Reeb on the grounds that her right-leaning political affiliation could influence her decision to prosecute the openly Democrat actor. Funny how that particular caveat there didn't seem to apply to Alex Jones when there was a clearly left-wing judge in control of his case. No one cared about that. On the 14th of March, Reeb announced she would be stepping down from her role as special prosecutor. Oh, yeah, definitely no pressure happening there. It's all a coinky-dink. My priority in this case, and in every case I've prosecuted in my 25-year career, has been justice for the victim, she declared in a statement. However, it has become clear that the best way I can ensure justice is served in this case is to step down so that the prosecution can focus on the evidence and facts, which clearly show a complete disregard for basic safety protocols that led to the death of Helena Hutchins. And see, that's the real tragedy here. Someone was killed, and they're not going to see any sort of justice. Now, I will say, with the charges being dismissed in court, that does now open up civil prosecution, because I believe New Mexico is there. There's only a very few states. I know California is one. There's like 2 others, I think, that allow you to put a civil case forward before a criminal case comes in. It's actually how they got Michael Jackson the first time in the 90s. It was a civil case, not a criminal case, and he settled for other reasons. The side note is Michael Jackson did not diddle any kids. I'm going to say it. You know what? I'm going to say it loud and proud. Michael Jackson didn't diddle no kids, and the evidence does not show that he ever did. And if he ever did, no one would have ever found out about it. But he didn't, which is... Razor Fist has done some videos on it over at the Rageaholic. Just look up the Rageaholic, Michael Jackson, and your eyes will be open to the whole situation. He was basically run through in civil court. The prosecutor the prosecutor and judge pretty much worked together to see that he was charged with this because they wanted a big show trial. That's essentially what happened. And I think with this, they're doing kind of the opposite, to where they're turning down the gas on Alec Baldwin. But now that the criminal case is being dismissed, civil charges can come in. And if I had to guess, the studio is going to get sued. Baldwin himself is going to get sued. Probably a couple of other things. A couple other people are going to get sued as well. They typically hire companies to do the safety and the arming of these things. That company's probably going to get sued as well. The armor, once those charges get dropped. So civil cases will be coming in. The family will at least get some sort of compensation, but justice is being ignored because Alec Baldwin has the right politics. That's my opinion on the matter. At a minimum, Michael Jackson put himself in a bad position to get accused. It seems like that because, they talk about him having people stay in his room with him. However, Michael Jackson's bedroom was the size, actually it was larger than my house. Just to be clear, I don't have a large house, but I don't exactly have a small house. I think his bedroom alone was a 2-floor, I think around 2,000 square foot area of his mansion. See, most people who buy mansions, they wind up buying these huge, massive properties, and they use a fraction of it because nobody needs, 12,000 square feet to live in. Nobody does. The freaking Duggars couldn't fill out 12,000 square feet with their 85 kids and counting. So when people say that Michael Jackson had children staying in his bedroom with him, they were in a completely different room. They were in a completely different bed, and he always made sure that some sort of parent or guardian was there with them. Like, it's not like he was having a sleepover where, you know, he was getting in the bed with kids or anything like that. That didn't happen. In fact, all of those facts were essentially made up and twisted in the court case, and that is where these sort of rumors come from. But I digress. I will not allow questions about my serving as legislator and prosecutor to cloud the real issue at hand. Well, you did, actually, because, you know, you removed yourself, and you probably shouldn't have. First Judicial District Attorney Mary Carmack Altweiss, who had been attached to the case since the very beginning, likewise stepped down from her role just a few weeks after Reeves' resignation. Seems like everybody just doesn't want to touch this with a 38.5-foot pole. My responsibility to the people of the 1st Judicial District is greater than any one case, which is why I've chosen to appoint a special prosecutor in the Rust case, said Carmack Atweiss. Oh, it's Atweiss now. In a statement, Carrie Morrissey and Jason Lewis will unflinchingly pursue justice in the death of Helena Hutchins on behalf of the people of 1st Judicial District. Apparently not. In February, former Rust Assistant Director David Hall, the man who actually handed the loaded gun to Baldwin the day of the tragic shooting, signed a plea agreement for the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. After signing the plea, Hall received a jail sentence that was later suspended by Judge Mary Marlowe Summer for a sentence of 6 months of unsupervised probation. I mean, yeah, the guy just sort of handed the gun off to somebody else. He should have checked it himself as well, however. Anytime you hand a firearm to someone, you should check it. Also, I talked about this like when it happened, and I did a little bit of looking into it. I'm trying to remember from like, you know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever it was. I believe that the only person who is supposed to hand a firearm to whatever talent it is, basically anyone else on set, is supposed to be the armorer or one of their assistants. If you aren't one of them, you're not supposed to be handing a firearm off to somebody else. So the fact that the assistant director was handing off firearms to people is a red flag in and of itself. He shouldn't have been part of that chain whatsoever. Following the dropping of the charges against him, the disgraced actor, that's, you know, editorializing there, but we know this is an opinion piece from Bounding into Comics. The disgraced actor took to social media to share a rather tone-deaf post thanking his wife, Hilaria, and lawyer Luke Nikas. That is a dangerous name to say online. That's all I'm saying. You got to be real careful with that dude's last name right there. Be real careful with that. I owe everything I have to this woman, prefaced Baldwin, sharing a picture of himself and his wife enjoying a night out. The actor limited who can leave a comment under his Instagram post. Oh yeah, limited posting. Big surprise there. God. Oh, and I bet it's all a bunch of freaking... It's a bunch of sycophantic clingers onto who are just posting on here, of course. He has to follow you for you to be able to post on here. So let's see. I owe everything I have to this woman. And to you, Luke. So happy for you and your family. So glad you're able to still take photos with your wife. Oh no, there's some fire. So glad you're able to still take photos with your wife. Helena's husband never will again. Nice. Yes. Somebody cooking him. Love really is when someone else's happiness is dependent on your own. Someone once told me, you take care of you for me, and I'll take care of me for you. Well, he shot somebody. He did not manslaughter them. I can't say that, but he shot somebody. God. Baldwin's wife, Hilaria, also took to social media to share a tasteless post which framed the couple as victims of injustice whose nightmare was finally over. You shot somebody! God. At least Ferris Bueller is named Matthew Broderick. At least Matthew Broderick did, like, he did some time. I mean, not as much as other people do, but at least he did some time for vehicular manslaughter. I think that was also in France or something, and France don't play around. Yeah, congratulations is a weird thing to say to him for getting away with shooting somebody. He shot a person. It's, yeah. And why is she like all curled up like a baby here? Like, that's just a weird, no. I don't like that. She looks like she got a bony ass too. Like, that's gotta be digging into his thigh. Jeez, just tasteless. Just, all of this is absolutely tasteless. He should have quietly just stepped away from this situation, let the media do their thing for a week. We all know that there's a 7-day turnaround on these kind of things. Everyone's going to forget about this in 7 freaking days. No one's going to be talking about it. And then he could have come back afterwards. The movie would have released in like 6 months or whatever once they got to finish filming and then production. The movie would have finished filming and then it would have come out. There would have been another bump in people, talking about this. But this right here, just posting pictures with your wife when, you killed a woman who's never going to see her husband, husband's never going to be able to take one of these pictures with her. It's frankly tasteless. He should have let this just slowly fade away. What else do we have here? Excuse me for 1 second. I keep scratching my nose because I got freaking cat hair on it. And I can't rub my face on my shirt because that has cat hair on it. There's just cat hair everywhere. I love the damn things, but they just shed and shed. Let's switch over to this one. Also from Bounding Into Comics. All of these are from Bounding Into Comics, by the way. All of the articles I'm going over today. So yeah, as far as the Alec Baldwin thing, that's sort of my overall thoughts. He's very tastelessly is posting all of these pictures and taking a victory lap about how he, I mean, to use a turn of phrase, getting away with murder, even though I wouldn't say he had to the letter of the law murdered the woman, but manslaughter at the very least, from what we could tell. But it certainly is sus at the very minimum. I mean, he shot a woman, and now nothing's going to happen to him. So, too bad we all can't be part of the elite class that just gets away with these things. Here's another one. I mean, big surprise for everybody here. Warner Bros. Discovery to celebrate 100th anniversary with short film series that reimagines the studio's iconic films through a diverse and inclusive lens. This one is from Spencer Bakuli. I've talked with him a couple of times. I cannot remember what his internet name is, but he's on Twitter. Man, I wish I could remember right now, but my brain ain't working. Partly because you see what date this came out. I'm still reeling from yesterday. With 100 years having passed since it opened its doors to filmmakers and audiences alike, Warner Bros. Has announced that it will be ringing in its anniversary with a short film series that reimagines the studio's iconic films through a diverse and inclusive lens. After all, there's nothing like celebrating your own history by attempting to appease those who unapologetically hate everything about it. I could not have put that better myself. Spencer, you knocked that one out of the park there, bud. That is the perfect way to encapsulate this whole situation. Sorry, I had to take a hydration break. Yeah, these people don't care about the classic films. They've probably never seen any of the ones that they're going to be reimagining. They wouldn't care to see any of these films, and they certainly wouldn't be able to appreciate the historical significance of them. Even films that do have some, legitimate issues, things that our society no longer views to be acceptable, even by just, I don't want to say conservative, but just reasonable standards, things that we wouldn't be, okay with. Casablanca is an amazing film. The fact that the only black person in the entire joint is Sam, the pianist, he's there to be, the entertainment, the talent. That's that would be considered somewhat racist in this day and age. But Sam was friends with Rick in that film. They had worked together for a long time. There was some loyalty there between the two. So it's not like he was just some throwaway character in the film. He's very important to the film itself. Heck, he even helps to bring together some of the characters in the plot. But it's not exactly the nicest depiction. But we can appreciate that we have grown as a culture and as a society and moved on from these things. And we can't appreciate it if we can't see where we were at one point in time, if we can't look at it and know the difference of where we've gone from A to B. So why even try to appease these people? They don't care about you. They don't care about these films. They don't care about the people who enjoy these films. In fact, they think we're horrible people. The series will see 6 of these studios' classics. Oh, excuse me. Oh, had that old man reflux. The series will see 6 of these studios' classic offerings remade with the representative casting, storytelling, and narrative. There's the important word there. And narrative by respective up-and-coming filmmaker. All of whom... Why is it always up-and-coming filmmakers? Like, why don't we have people who have shown merit anymore? They always give these... I mean, this doesn't exactly seem like a big project, but how many times have we seen, like, a new Marvel film is coming out and you've never heard of this director before, and then they do a shit job? Like, why are we surprised? Like, what was it, The Eternals? Didn't that guy... He had made, like, 2 movies and they were shit before that, and they were, like, small indie films that nobody really cared about. Even, like, the indie film art house people didn't like them, but for some reason they give them millions of dollars to make these films. It just doesn't make sense to me. All of whom were specifically selected to participate by DEI industry veterans. That's a contradiction of terms. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a new thing. How can you be an industry veteran of the newest thing? And so, yes, it's a novel veteran. What? Including WBD's Senior Vice President of DEI in North America, Karen Horn. Of course, her name is Karen. Of course, the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion is named Karen. What else would you expect? In collaboration with Warner Bros. Pictures executives, Visual Communications, Los Angeles Latinx, Latino, that's racist, guys. You need to say Latinx, International Film Festival, Urban World, Sundance Indigenous Lab, Outfest, and Real Abilities Film Fest. Oh, gee, goody. Let's see, these filmmakers, as well as the films we'll be updating, include Robin Cloud doing Calamity Jane, Reagan Linton doing Jack and the Beanstalk, B. Monet, A Star is Born, Monica Moore Suriage, The Adventures of Robin Hood, Juan Pablo Arias Munoz, I don't know how to say that word. I'm sorry, I don't speak taco. Rebel Without a Cause, Tate Saron, Sarah Talik, sorry, I don't speak Surrender, The Prince and the Pauper. God, it's just, why not just show them? Why not just show the films? How about for your 100-year anniversary, you show some of the greatest films that Warner Brothers has put out. You re-release them into theaters. It's actually become very popular over the past few years to have, each theater has a different name for it, throwback cinema, classic cinema, anything like that. It's been very popular, and the viewings I've gone to see of these older movies that, I go to see them in theaters, I'll do a Sunday matinee and pay, $8 to go see a film that I've never seen before that I love on the big screen. I like the cinema experience. I like the whole thing about it. It sucks that I'm almost priced out of it. It's so expensive. So if I can go to a Sunday matinee and see something classic and good, I do. Why not just re-release them there? That would be a win-win. You don't have to spend any money to create anything new. You just have to do a little bit of advertising for it. And really, most of the theater companies do their own advertising for that. And there you go. You get to have people enjoy some of your classic films. These filmmakers will be mentored on the project by a number of studio veteran creatives, such as Arrowverse creator Greg Berlanti, Blue Beetle director Angel Manuel Soto, The Color Purple Wait, they're remaking The Color Purple? Why? Director Blitz Bazawale, Crazy Rich Asians director John M. Chu, Night Raiders director Danis Goulet, and Crip Camp director James Lebrecht. I've never heard of any of these people, and I don't think I've seen any of these shows, or I haven't seen the remake of The Color Purple. Why? Why? Just, these don't sound like veterans to me. These sound like the same thing we've seen all over the place. They have diversity, equity, and inclusion director comes in and says, we've got to hire some brown people so that the Gen Zers will stop calling us racist. That's all they're worried about, is being on the right side of history. If we don't, we're gonna be one of the Nazis. That's all they care about. Just these people, as far as I know, I could be entirely wrong, but I don't think any of these veterans could be called that through merit. I've never heard of them. Now, I mean, I don't dig that deep into all of these films, but I don't think I've seen any of their names come up across a freaking billet. Not once. Let's see. The average DEI director makes $200,000 a year. I need to make a career change. Yeah. Went to go see Classic Jiggly in theaters last year. Said it was epic. That is, you are fake news. Okay, Duck Dangerously is working for China, and he is fake news. That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me. I didn't say that. That's what they said. The Color Purple remake with a white and Asian cast would be appropriate. Yes, that's exactly what they should do. You know what? They should let Bollywood remake The Color Purple so they can have like dance routines in the middle of it. That I would pay green money to go see that. Actually, 100% I would go see that. Further, American wrestler The Wizard producer Ali Afshar will serve as a consulting producer throughout the entire project. I've never heard of... Okay, I've heard of Crazy Rich Asians. That's one I've heard of. I mean, I'm familiar with Arrowverse. I never watched it, and it's just not my thing. I've heard that the Arrow first few seasons were good, but just wasn't my thing. But I've never heard of American wrestler The Wizard. That's I don't think that's a real thing. Oh yeah, they're gonna remake Robin Hood. It's gonna be Robin da Hood. We're absolutely thrilled to work with WBD's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team to expand opportunities for a broader range of talent to realize their dreams at Warner Bros. Yeah, these people don't have to prove that they're any good at anything. They just have to have the right skin color, so we can pander to them and tokenize them. That's what they're trying to do. Warner Bros. Picture Group co-chairs and CEOs Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy said in a statement released alongside the announcement, "We can't think of a better way to celebrate this studio's 100-year legacy than investing in the next generation of storytellers, and we look forward to seeing these iconic movies through their eyes." Oh man, maybe they'll actually try and bring some awareness to maybe child slavery, and they'll go film a movie where Disney makes the Marvel films in China. Maybe they'll do that, and we'll see all of the Uyghurs and child slave labor over there. Maybe this is going to be a twist, and they're going to subvert our expectations. We'll see. The impact of Warner Bros. Films over the last century has been tremendous. They have shaped our culture and our understanding of the world around us, added WBD's chief DEI officer, Asif Sadiq. Isn't that the same? That's the same guy who's the... Okay, no, Ali Afshar. Sorry, it's two different guys. Sorry, I don't speak kebab. In celebration of the studio's 100th anniversary, we are thrilled to empower these talented filmmakers to create a modern and diverse reimagining of these iconic productions, as both a tribute to the original work and as a mechanism to remind us of the power we have to tell stories and depict people in an inclusive and fulsome manner. Oh man, it's just not like how are you going to tell a good story when you're so worried about being inclusive and fulsome? If you're not worried about telling a good story first, that should be the main thing. But no, the main thing is we have to include everybody. Gaming or what? How's it going? Glad you could join us here. Let's see. A racist. Everyone knows Cleopatra was black. She lived in Africa. Duh. Yes, a woman who was famously known for being pale, potentially had red hair as well. We don't know how true that is, but there's many period depictions of her showing her with red hair. For instance, there was a fresco found in, I don't think it was in Pompeii, but one of the other cities that was also buried in the Vesuvius eruption that they unearthed, Herculaneum maybe, or Stabiae. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I don't speak Tzatziki. But yeah, a woman famously known for being pale and Greek and a descendant of Alexander the Great, Macedonian to be specific, but modern day we just call it Greek. So yeah, just of course she was in Africa. Don't look at what modern day Egyptians look like either. That's not a good representation. Of course, everyone in Africa, is sub-Saharan African. What else would it be? Robin Hood in 2023, take from the store and give to yourself. Yeah, nice. Good one. Need to make that a meme or something. That's a good one. Yeah, the story never comes first anymore. It's always, and never the merit of the actors as well. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You can do a race swap and have it be good. You can have a character an actor who doesn't look like the original character, or as they were described in a book or original or anything like that, and have it done well, but you have to come from a place of merit. I don't know if I don't think I have I do still have the poster up behind me. Here, let me full screen so you guys can see it. Yeah, right up here at the top, I got my Hannibal poster right there behind me. Hannibal, race swapped, gender swapped, did all that stuff in the show compared to how it was in the books. And you know what? It was damn good. It was a great show. Lawrence Fishburne was amazing as Jack Crawford. And honestly, I will say, like, you wouldn't have gotten many perspectives from the original characters in the book, because pretty much all of the what do I want to say, the FBI team that you see there, it's pretty much a bunch of old white dudes and one old Asian dude that are working there, and that was Dr. Katz, was the one Asian dude. So it was actually kind of nice for the show that they did sort of mix it up a little bit so you could get some more perspective, particularly having more women in the group. And I think that when, for the character interactions, since you're going to have a long form story being told, it can help. However, these need to be meritocratic. These need to be good actors, and the people they brought in there were good. Caroline DeVernus as name flying right out of my head. I can't remember who she played in the show. I'll wake up at 2 a.m, shooting up out of my bed, just like shouting the name. That's when I'll remember. But yeah, that Hannibal. That's the show I bring up multiple times. I have in the past, and I will in the future. It is entirely possible to race swap and gender swap and have it done well. It's not expected to happen anymore. And in fact, that used to be a bit of a thing. Like, if you're going to do it, you need to knock it out of the park. So yeah, it's something that can work. Unfortunately, these days, it typically doesn't. Let's see. Did you know Alexander Hamilton was black? Lin-Manuel Miranda taught me that. Yeah, see, and you know what? A lot of people talked about how the Hamilton show. I never saw it, so I couldn't say. But a lot of people talked about how it was really well done. And it's not like Lin-Manuel Miranda actually thinks that Alexander Hamilton was black. I think that's one of the big differences between Hamilton and the new Cleopatra show. Is there's a lot of people out there who legitimately think that Cleopatra was black. They do. It's either that or they're trying to fix history. I Even though I know that Lin-Manuel Miranda has had some really room temperature IQ takes in the past, I don't think that that was his intention in this. I think he was taking something that he knew about and trying to express, a thing in history that he liked. Even though I disagree with Hamilton's politics, Hamilton basically wanted to have an American king. That was what he wanted. He wanted the president of the United States to act like a king. But, one you voted for, which just doesn't make sense. I'm more on the Jefferson side of things. That's where I am. Small government, states' rights, Jefferson. That's of the big divide in our country, and it's always been that has always been the major divide in our country, no matter what political parties we're currently working with. You've got the big government, centralized control, Alexander Hamilton's. You've got the small government, states' rights, individual rights, Jeffersonians. That is our split. The Noob Reviews facial hair. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. The Noob Reviews facial hair. I thought I was the facially haired one around here. I don't know. I think we would notice. She's pretty pale. We'd see even a bleached mustache. We would notice. Noob Reviews facial hair. You are fake news. Yeah. See, even I'm agreeing with Phil on something. Crazy. Let's see. I got another one here. We got time for another one to run through here. Here we go. Yes, with the new Harry Potter show coming out, which I'm not gonna hold my breath on, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it. We'll see. This rumor, for what we were just talking about, is a bit disturbing. Tobat, welcome Tobat. I'm glad to have you here. Everybody says, they tell me that Tobat is great. He's huge. He's the biggest, the bigliest. He is, and he is fake news. Welcome, Tobat. Let's see. There is a rumor, merely a rumor, but, could be true, might not. Hence rumor. Despite claiming to be a faithful adaptation, Harry Potter Max series will make a concerted effort to cast more people of color. I don't know why. If you read the book, they have a lot of different groups of people in there. They try to. I think that J.K. Rowling actively tried to represent all of the peoples that you would, interact with throughout England. I think she did throughout all of Britain. I think she did a pretty good job of representing that. You've got white characters, black characters, Indian characters, Scottish, Irish, all of these things. And honestly, if we're going to talk about poor representations, we got to discuss Seamus. He's an Irish guy who in the first frickin' book tries to turn water into rum, and he's really good at blowing things up. Now, keep in mind, that first book came out in the late 90s, hadn't exactly been a long time since the Troubles. So, Irish guy who blows shit up and drinks, written by an English woman who... Yeah, it's not like Dean Thomas wasn't a black person in Harry Potter. Oh, wait. Yeah, exactly. It is explicitly mentioned in the book that Dean is not just black, but he actually has dark skin, I believe, is something that was mentioned. But yeah, they have all sorts of characters. You have the Hindu twin sisters, Prima and Padma Patel. There's a lot of things being covered here in Harry Potter. So I don't get it. I don't see why they're having to do this, but let's read. Let's see what they're saying. This is another one from Spencer Baculai. Though Warner's Discovery has claimed that their recently announced Max reboot... Also, can I just pause for a second? HBO Max changing their name to just Max? I'm sorry. That's that's retarded. I know I'm not supposed to say the R word anymore, but not being able to say the R word is retarded. That's just dumb. Why? It's HBO. Just call it HBO Max. Now we're not going to know what we're talking about. I think Paramount Plus isn't going to call their thing Paramount Plus. They tried calling it something else, and nobody knew what the hell they were talking about, so they switched back over to Paramount, because everybody knows now. Just call it HBO Max. Max reboot of Harry Potter will be a faithful adaptation of the iconic books. Part of the reason I am interested in this is because it's supposed to be, it's one book, one season of the show. And you're going to get 7 seasons for it. And they're going to try and cover as many things from the book as possible to be a bit more faithful. Because one of the issues that a lot of the movies do have going deeper into the series, particularly from 4 on, is that they had to cut a lot of things out. And a lot of them were kind of important to the story overall. For instance, the 5th movie, Order of the Phoenix, they montage like a third of the book when all the rules are slowly becoming more egregious and more authoritative and more tyrannical that Umbridge is putting into place. You get to see that sort of slowly grow over time, and you see how it changes the whole feel of the school until it gets to the point where the kids know that they need to learn how to defend themselves. They're going to need to get ready to stand up to this tyrant. And instead we get that montage. It kind of hurt the overall flow of the story there. A good buddy of mine, he hates the 6th movie because, and I think this is a completely valid criticism, even though I like the 6th movie, completely valid criticism, because they completely remove the investigation of trying to find out who the Half-Blood Prince is. It's the title character of the book. I mean, we find out at the end, of course, but the big reveal doesn't really matter if there hasn't been any investigation, and it's only really mentioned like 2, maybe 3 times before that. Like, okay, let's see. You see it when Harry opens up the book for the first time. It says property of the Half-Blood Prince. You see it mentioned when Ginny steals the book from him and flips it open and says, "Who's the Half-Blood Prince?" And then it's mentioned again later when Hermione says she went to the library and try and do some research into it, and nothing came up. Literally 3 times it's mentioned. It's supposed to be a whole chunk of the book. So hopefully that's something they could remedy with the series, doing a whole series on it. The only big problem I think a lot of people are going to have is especially my generation, the Harry Potter generation, we grew up with these books, we grew up with these movies. We are attached to the actors who were in these roles, and it's going to be difficult seeing somebody else play these roles. It's going to be tough. So we'll have to see if it is done well. I will say HBO has made some really good shows, even in the recent past. They've made some really good shows, so I'm going to hold out a little bit. We'll see what happens. J.K. Rowling is supposed to be an executive producer, but nonetheless, let's discuss this rumor. A new rumor suggests that the studio will be making a concerted effort to cast more people of color in their small screen take on the wizarding world. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see. But that right there does give me pause a little bit. Because, like I said before, if they start focusing on if they start focusing on trying to have a diverse cast, they're no longer focusing on having a good cast. You can only have one thing as your main focus, aim number 1. So we'll see. Knowing how shit a lot of people are in real life, I'm happy to see new people in the roles. Look, it's the issue of having to separate the art from the artist. Anytime you hear about, it's the never meet your heroes thing. Anytime you hear about some celebrities' political takes or anything like that, it's very unlikely that we're going to, agree with what they say. Highly unlikely. There's only so many Kurt Russells out there, so or I think before James Wood and Dean Cain were mentioned. But let's be honest, Dean Cain hasn't really done anything in a long time. James Woods, unfortunately, was canceled for being true to his politics. I mean, that guy really put his career on the line and unfortunately has lost a lot from it. So I'll give him credit there. But sometimes you got to separate the art from the artist. But once again, we have to judge this meritocratically. Is the art worthy? Then we can still enjoy it. But if it's really not that good and it's made by people that hate you, don't support it just cause. It's, it does kind of add a level to where they have to exceed expectations there. See J.K. Rowling being attached to this is like Kevin Eastman digging Rogan's turtles. I'm still skeptical, but a bit optimistic because the creator is involved. Yeah, that is true. Just because they're involved, just because they get an executive producer or a producer billing, doesn't mean they're actually making decisions. Sometimes they just want their name on it so they can ensure for legal purposes into the future that they keep getting their royalties. That is absolutely a thing. Also, Small Time brought up a really good point here. The term HBO has great value. It's dumb to ditch that. Exactly. Nobody's going to know immediately exactly like that what you're talking about because you say Max. If you say HBO, I mean, we all have that image burned into our mind. Any of us who have watched HBO shows or watched the paid channel growing up, we see the static and then the letters coming out of the screen at us, HBO production. It's that holds value, great value, as Small Time says. I don't know why they did that. It's stupid. Yes, we are well, I was trying to click that. We are definitely seeing a lack of green people. Yeah, there aren't enough green people on screens. Damn it, you're right, Tolbat. 100%. Yeah, like Skinamax getting rid of their soft core late night stuff. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Word of WBD's supposed casting plans was first whispered by noted film reporter and scooper Jeff Snyder during a general discussion of the Harry Potter reboot held on the April 6th episode of his film critic John Rocha's The Hot Mic podcast. Yeah, I'm not watching that. We'll take Spencer's word for summarizing and editorializing it for us. I'll let Spencer do that for us. Yeah. Et tu, Skinamax. Et tu. Addressing the topic of the upcoming Max series, I'm just going to say HBO from now on. That's just all I'm going to say. It makes more sense. Snyder revealed to his co-host that, thanks to his own insider sources, he had become privy to a bevy of supposed details regarding WBD's magical plans, cautioning listeners to take his reports with a grain of salt, like a big-ass grain. Snyder began by first noting that WBD... Also, why do they gotta throw Discovery in there? I understand that Discovery has, a bit of pull to it as well, but when's the last time a good Discovery show actually came out? They're freaking... All they are is the reality TV on the Discovery Channel now, and it's frankly sad. Discovery used to be awesome. Man, all throughout the 90s into even the early 2000s, Discovery was the shit. Great channel. Animal Planet 2, great channels. They're crap now. It's all it's all reality TV. It's some 22-year-old just married couple straight out of college trying to buy a house. We want a three-floor townhouse in the lower Manhattan area. We have to have our sky garden and a trampoline room, and our budget is $120,000. Make it happen, Karen. That's all you get on Discovery now, so I don't even know why Warner Bros. Is attaching the D to their frickin' name. Excuse me, kitty. I'm trying to see the screen. I has helper kitty. Come here. All right. Yeah, won't believe it. Well, won't believe it until Grace Randolph tells me it's true. Sweet kitty. See, this is how I get the cat hair on my nose, but you know what? It's 100% worth it. It was my kitty's birthday yesterday. Yes, her birthday is 4/20. She's 14 now. She's an old kitty. My sweet kitty. Where was I? Oh, yes. WBD came to their decision to reboot the franchise because there had been talk of a Harry Potter and the Cursed Child movie with the original cast, but there were problems. Oh, yeah, like freaking, what's her name? The chick that played Hermione Granger, looking like an old used leather boot these days. God, she does not look good. I'm sorry. Something wrong with that chick. Like, this is your body on leftism. Don't do it, people. I think she's a vegan too or something. Like, ugh. Yeah, I mean, this just looks like a promotion for one of the movies. Okay, Kitty, you're gonna step all over my keyboard. Yeah, I'm not trying to see the screen or nothing, dude. All right, watch out. Lay down or something. I can't see what I'm doing, Kitty. I can't see through your floofy fat bod. Okay, that's slightly better, I guess. They didn't want to work with J.K. Rowling for obvious reasons, and that it was particularly hard to get Emma Watson, that's her frickin' name, Emma Watson, and Daniel Radcliffe back, particularly Emma. Yeah, because I imagine she needs help from two people just to get out of a frickin' chair. God, she looks like a bag of sticks with makeup on. Emma is the toughest one to get back into this, and this particularly with everything that J.K. Rowling has said and stands for. What, that she doesn't want men in women's prisons? Yeah, that's a real freaking hot take. That she wants to have gender-specific battered spouse shelters? Yeah. People who are going through family trauma like that and have been abused probably don't need to be, co-ed. I'm sorry, these facilities where they're kept don't need to be co-ed. This isn't fucking brain science or rocket surgery. What the hell? What I heard was that they tried to buy Rowling out, Snyder told Rosha, but she requested an insane amount. Good. That's your work, JK. Don't sell for cheap. That is yours. People want it. It is desirable. Be a freaking capitalist about this shit and get your bag. Secure your bag. Get that money, girl. I don't even agree with J.K. Rowling on everything, right? Like, it's not like I agree with her on most things. I don't agree with her on most things. Just, like, she's reasonable when it comes to the new gender politics that everybody's has to talk about at all times. But she requested an insane amount, so they just figured, all right, if we want to go forward with these characters, which we do, then we're stuck with her. So it's going to be her. She's not going anywhere. All due respect to Emma Watson or whatever, and then we'll reboot it, because that is what J.K. Rowling is willing to agree to. Yeah, you got to stick with what the creator wants. You got to stick with her vision. That's how it works. Now, I will say, I won't be surprised if they do a lot of race swapping, because that was kind of a meme like 7-8 years ago, I want to say. Excuse me. That J.K. Rowling was coming out. Remember when she was saying, like, oh yeah, Dumbledore is gay. All of those things like that. She was trying to capitulate to a mob before she realized that there's no capitulating to this mob. And she's kind of backed off on a lot of those takes before. However, I wouldn't be surprised if she was willing to do a lot of race swapping just to appease the lefties who still support her. I am told that they are serious about making the show, but it is also potentially being used as leverage to get Emma and Dan back, he continues. Like, yeah, if you guys don't come back, you're not going to be the faces of Harry Potter anymore. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe, once again, another person I don't agree with, but to his credit, he's at least still working. What the hell has Emma Watson done? Like, why is she the hard one to get a hold of? She hasn't done the square root of jack shit other than run her bony ass fucking bird lip having mouth. That's all she does anymore. We're going to find somebody else, and that's easier said than done, right? I mean, I don't know. It's supposed to be freaking kids in it. Like, what are you going to do with that? Oh, that's that. They're talking about the Cursed Child movie. Yeah, I never read it, so I don't really know. I think that they ended the series on 7. Freaking end that shit. They wrapped it up with a nice little bow. It's a solid ending to a long series. It's good stuff. Leave it there. Oh, there's one Phil brings up. The last thing he'd seen Emma Watson in was Beauty and the Beast, and that movie was fucking turds. Turning his focus to the HBO series specifically, Snyder then recalled, I heard there were talks of pitches being set in America and in Paris, but Rowling shot those pitches down because Harry Potter is a British property and it should stay to its true roots. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. As an American, I don't want to see an American version of Harry Potter. First off, we're all freaking armed, so, Voldemort's going to be running around hitting people with Crucio, and we're going to have some dude fucking snipe him. We're going to send some Marine sniper in, the team of two, and there's going to be the guy there with the binoculars, and then there's going to be, Voldemort walking around with his, stupid fucking missing nose and bald ass head, just crusty bald head, walking around, and they're going to be tracking him for like a week until they find his exact weakest moment, and then that's when they're going to snipe him. And sure, maybe that's not going to automatically kill him because of the Horcruxes, but he only has so many of those, right? You only have so many of the Horcruxes, so we'll just keep sniping him one after another. I don't want American Harry Potter. I want Brandon Sanderson's Arithmetist. I have actually never read any Brandon Sanderson. I know that he's a well-regarded writer these days. That dude pumps out some books. Oh my god, that dude pumps out a lot of literature. I mean, credit to him on that. He has a very big following too. I got a shelf of other books I haven't gotten around to reading, so I'm gonna get through those first. Yet, despite this alleged interest in keeping the series true to its roots, excuse me again, the Scooper then noted that what we've heard about this series is that they will make a concerted effort to cast more people of color in the show, particularly in regards to the role of Hermione. Yeah, that was another thing that J.K. Rowling had talked about when she was going through the whole thing. It's like, well, I never specifically stated that Hermione was white. I think it was pretty heavily implied. Isn't she, like, blonde? Like, sure, she has, very frizzy hair, but she's also, I don't know, blonde. She could very well be an actress of color, Snyder added. Bringing his insights into the reboot to an end, he ultimately concluded that you should also expect some veteran Harry Potter writers to be involved in this show in some capacity. Notably, should Warner Bros. Actually move forward with diversifying the beloved franchise, it would not be the first time that its cast, particularly Hermione, underwent such a change. Despite Rowling's own conceptual illustrations portraying the young girl as explicitly white-skinned, black actress Noma Dumezweni was cast as an adult Hermione in the 2016 West End stage production of the aforementioned Cursed Child. Okay, you know what? I will actually... Excuse me. I will actually support that for the stage play, specifically because that is a long-held practice in stage plays. Is you want to get somebody who's good. It doesn't matter if they don't exactly fit the description. Good is what's important. Excuse me. I think I need a hydration break here. My throat's getting all scratchy. So, I will actually stand behind the Noma Dumezweni as adult Hermione in the Cursed Child. That is actually it's a long held practice, perfectly acceptable in my opinions for the stage play. But when you bring it to film, that's where kind of you want to have a certain aspect of reverence for the source material there, and yeah, you wouldn't really see that there. Yeah, I'm trying not to, Tolbat. I'm trying to just keep it up here. Just breathing, man, breathing. Met with criticism of Dumezweni's casting due to its divergence from her original works, Rowling publicly asserted, I had a bunch of racists telling me that because Hermione turned white, that is lost color from her face after a shock. that she must be a white woman, which I have a great deal of difficulty with, but I decided not to get too agitated about it and simply state quite firmly that Hermione can be a black woman with my absolute blessing and enthusiasm. Like I said, it's a play. This is a long-standing thing in stage, so no real problems there. Was she British, or could she at least do a good British accent? Could she play the character well for the stage play? Like, British. That matters more to me for a stage play, personally. As of writing, HBO's Harry Potter series has yet to receive any sort of potential release date. You know what? Hopefully they work on it for a long time. Hopefully. Oh, well, as you guys can tell, my voice is just dying on me. Been talking for a solid hour here. I want to go ahead and thank everybody. Let me full screen myself. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming by and joining me as we walk through this week in pop culture news. Nothing too crazy going on other than Alec Baldwin getting away with murder. That's just a thing. That's honestly to be expected. Like what else was going to happen? Was he actually going to go to jail? Hey, yeah, sure. But just want to thank everybody for coming by. I want to thank everyone for chatting and participating here. Always enjoy that. Phil says, I'll give it a shot, but if it sucks and craps on the Harry Potter IP, then I'm being brutal in my review. Yes, you should do that. I don't know if we... it's a weird thing to do the whole, the don't hate watch certain things, but at the same time, people like us who discuss these things and the fandoms and so on, who discuss these things and make it clear what we do and don't like is how we see some things change over time. One instance is Venture Bros. The Ven Bros fans were not happy when it was canceled on Adult Swim. And we wrote strongly worded letters. We talked to the execs at AT&T, the people in charge of making it happen again, and said, hey, we want a Ven Bros season. We want season 8. It was promised to us. It was promised to the creators. We want to see it. And we were firm and we were kind. We were not evil or mean or angry. We were angry with these people, but we were not insulting to them, is what I'll say. And you know what? We're getting our damn Ven Bros movie. It's coming out. There was a short release just yesterday. I haven't watched it yet. I wasn't wanting to dive too deep into it. I'll say Ven Bros has been, the creators have been really good about not releasing too many spoilers before their seasons come out. They want us to enjoy it naturally as it comes out. And I'm freaking looking forward to it. We're getting a movie. We're at least going to get wrapped up. We're going to get some closure on Ven Bros. And I am looking forward to it. One of the few things I'm looking forward to. Thank you, Small Time Republic. Good stream. Thank you. But yeah, everybody have an excellent weekend. I think I'm going to be over at Ords. I am going to seriously try to make it over to Ords Words tonight, or Ords World. I think he's doing Ord's board over on Rumble for the Mario Kart stream. That's what I think is going to happen, and I'm freaking looking forward to it, man. I haven't been able to make it in a couple of weeks, and that's entirely my fault. Just my schedule's been a bit hectic. I traveled recently. The reason I missed last weekend is because I was sick. I was sick from Thursday after I got home from a trip up to Boston until the following Wednesday. I was feeling like dog turds for almost a whole week. It was not good. So that's why I missed last week. Sorry about that, everybody. But I will be back next week, and hopefully I'll be back later tonight over at Ords, and hopefully I'll be there Sunday for the Sunday morning podcast. Also entirely my fault for missing that. I was literally traveling one of those days. That not last Sunday, but the Sunday before, I was traveling. Last Sunday I was just sick. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't getting on camera. I felt like crap. I didn't think anyone wanted to hear me sniffle and blow my nose on camera. I was not in good shape. But I'm all better now. So Was it because you were sick of me beating you in Mario Kart? Phil, you live in a fantasy land. You are the mayor of Candyland because you are fictional in your reality. It's you got to get into the objective reality here, man. Read some Ayn Rand. Get into some objectivism. That's what I'm saying, man. But all right, everybody, I will be back next week. Hopefully, Megan and I will be back next week to do a review of the 1990 live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I am looking forward to it. I love the movie. I watched it last night, prepping. I freaking love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I grew up with it. Of course, Phil knows TMNT. It's a great movie. I know you like the second one, Secret of the Ooze, a bit more. I am an original fanboy there. So, yep, we will be back next week with some more movie reviews, doing it right. All right, everybody, I hope you have an excellent weekend. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. And I am out.
No. He's looking at you, kid.
Goodbye, Boo.
Kitty.
Kitty has to go.
I'll see you. Not if I see you first.
Hello.
Grandpa? Maybe you could come over and read it again to me tomorrow.
As you wish.